Justin, today's episode is going to be one that's, I think, timely and timeless with regard to the topic. And the idea of it came from a recent conversation I had with my son, and that's the importance of treating people with dignity and respect. I think it's timely because our society is at a critical point where treating people with dignity and respect is, from my perspective, sorely lacking. And it's timeless, I think, because we all want to feel dignity. We all want to feel like we're respected. So I think this is going to be a challenging and hopefully rewarding conversation. So as we dive into this, Justin, when you think of treating people with dignity and respect, what comes to mind?
I'll take them separately. When I think about dignity, like the first thing that pops in from being in medicine is you think about a nursing home facility, someone who
Hmm.
is older, maybe is incapacitated, but then you still treat that person like a human, like you would your grandmother or grandfather. Look, when I think about dignity, that's what I think about. Like you do not treat someone less than human, irregardless of where they are in life, what capacity they have, how they fit into the system, whatever. Respect, I always talk about same with you. I think about this with my children. Like, regardless of what that person matters to you, you need to treat everyone with respect. My son had a baseball lesson the other day, and they told him to do something, and he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Nope, nope. Yes, coach. Yes, coach." Like, it's that respect of not only their position in the organization or in your life, but the respect of them as a person, like what they've been through, what they've done. Like, they are a person that deserves respect. When I think about those 2 things, that's sort of what I think about. What about you?
I agree with you. I think that they are different, and I'll kind of split them out. I'll talk about respect first, and people have written on this. There are two principal forms of respect.
Mm,
There's what's called earned respect, which is this sort of feeling of deep admiration for someone due to abilities, qualities, achievements, things of that nature. For instance, we might say we respect Mother Teresa for her compassion, kindness, and service. We might say we respect Michael Jordan for his accomplishments as a basketball player. So that's the earned kind of respect. In academics and medicine and things, we often respect someone because of their accomplishments in their field, publications they may have had, things of that nature. And the other form of respect, which you're hitting on, is what is referred to in the literature as owed respect, which is having due regard for the feelings, wishes, rights, traditions, whatever it may be, of other people. In a real sense, it's respecting or honoring others for their humanity.
it
I
seems
think
like
you're
almost the second one is probably the one that gets left out the easiest or the most often. Like, I mean, I think like the examples you gave, like Michael Jordan, like he walks into a restaurant, everyone's going to sort of be in awe. Like everyone equally values his accomplishments. Whereas the second one, it's not as, I don't want to say universally accepted, but I think it's probably the one that leaders and people who don't value as universally. Do you think that's the case?
Absolutely, I think that's the case, and this was the genesis of the conversation I had with my son. We were talking about respect, and before I dive into that story, let me get to the definition of dignity that I think about, and that's this state or quality of being worthy of
Mm,
respect. All people have dignity. All people, by the nature of their humanity, we should respect the people, from that standpoint, and everybody has dignity. And back to this story of the conversation with my son, we were talking about respect and how important that is in life, treating other people with respect, dignity and respect. And that what I told him was that this is one of the most important lessons that came away from my study and work that led to the book. So many four stars talked about treating people with dignity and respect, dignity and respect. And I confess that in my life, for a very long time, the large majority, until not too long ago, I withheld respect because I felt like people need to earn it.
mm. The number one part of respect that you talked about.
Just respect, period. Like if you
Yeah.
ask me, do you respect someone? Well, why should I? They haven't earned it.
Mm,
And that's a terrible place. Like that's wrong. And I can admit that. That's that what I was a fool for having that, but my son was falling into the same grouping.
mm.
I said, "Well, okay, what is it based on your criteria? If you're gonna be the arbiter of respect, what is it that you use to measure whether or not somebody receives respect from you, right?"
You asked him this?
Yeah, I asked him.
Oh,
And he said, and he thought about it and he said, achievement, leadership, character, intellect. Those were the 4 things that he cited. I said, okay, if that's the case, what kind of character is it? What level of character is it for someone else to dangle over another person this idea of respect and say, you only get this if you live up to my standard?
Mm,
What level of character is that?
wow.
And I mean, we sat in silence for probably 10 minutes while he's running through the permutations of how to get out of this, right?
How can I answer this correctly?
Right, and he finally was like, "Okay, checkmate, you got me." Like, and I said, "I'm asking because that was me. I'm not pointing the finger at you. That was me. I was the one, because I know that he respects me, right? But if character is a part of that calculus and it equals 0 and it's multiplicative, let's say, then it's 0, right? Respect should be 0, but that's not the case. So anyway, that allowed us to get to this idea that everyone, I think, carries the signature of divine, right? Like there's something innate about us as humans that we should respect that. That doesn't mean we have to respect them as a leader or as a basketball player or as an artist or podcaster or whatever it is. But as a human, we should respect them. And I think that this gets to what you're saying about the disconnect in our society, right? Like we have honoring people who've accomplished something, and we honor them over the most ridiculous things, fame, celebrity, really, right? Undeserved celebrity. But then we tear each other apart over various things. We don't respect the right of other people to have an opposing opinion, and we don't take the time to stop and say, this person has a perspective they do for a reason. I need to respect their right to be wrong. I mean, you're a Georgia fan. I respect your right to be a Georgia fan, Even if I don't agree with it, I respect that.
I heard a quote the other day that's so apropos here. They're like, if you were born into the same situation as another person and lived their same life, understand that you would come to the same conclusions that they did. And that really hit me in the face of like, you're right. Like, these are not people that are just, they've lived a different life, had different experience, and that's how they've come to a very logical conclusion. I want to go back to something you mentioned previously that I think is really interesting, that in interviewing these people for your book, these very highly ranked people in an organization that demands respect of senior leadership, that what they're saying is that the people below them, quote unquote, below them, you need to have respect for. That is interesting that the people in the place where they would be receiving all the respect are the people who are like, no, no. What a true leader does is respect those that they're leading. Those are the people that they have respect for. That's fascinating in interviewing all these people, that's sort of the takeaway from that. I love that.